Hey, what's up, movie fans? This is Richie's Review, and today we're going to be talking about Fate of the Furious. Man, this was the most ridiculous, crazy, outlandish thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I loved every minute of it. Just when you think they can't get any crazier than the last movie, boom! They go and get a little bit more wild. Fate and the Furious, this movie, starring Vin Diesel, The Rock, and every other crew member that they done had over the past several Fast and Furious movies. It's in this movie. We're way past racing at this point. Just get that in your mind. Just understand this is not a racing movie. I hear people complain about that, and to be quite honest with you, the first movie wasn't all about racing. It was, the underlying story was they were precision thieves, who drove cars, and racing was kind of like their day job. So again, way past that. So with this movie, they find themselves again in some kind of underground CIA, end of the world type deal, and they got to come in and save the day. Except this time, Dom is on the other side of the street. Pun intended. Had the classic, the opening of this was the classic Fast and Furious opening. You had the music, you had the nice cars, you had the stick figures and short shorts. All right, I was immediately back into that world. And it really didn't take me long to miss Paul Walker. The opening up scene, you got Dom racing and he's talking smack with other racers and stuff like that. And it just kind of hit me. Really all of a sudden, man, I need Brian. Brian should be there. It hit me kind of hard. And it probably hit me harder in this movie, to be quite honest, than it did the last one. And that was because he was in the last one, This one, there's just he would have been able to add so much to that character. And it was really sad knowing that he wasn't there. But after you get past this, and after you get past that and you move on, I really enjoyed the first and second act. I was surprisingly happy with. I thought they did a really good job within the realms of this franchise. Okay, not comparing it to some other kind of art, but within this franchise, I felt like the first two acts were kind of spot on. They had a little bit of mystery about what was going on with Dom. I was curious, how in the world are they going to make Dom go against his crew? And I felt like they did it. It made sense. I was actually intrigued with that storyline and where they was going with it. They did a good job with that, okay? Another thing that I was impressed with that I was surprised about was how funny this movie was. I was actually laughed out loud in several moments within this movie, and that doesn't always happen with me. Mainly that was all centered around Tyresse and The Rock, all right? Not necessarily them two going at each other, but Tyresse versus everybody, and then The Rock going his little jabs at Jason Statham in this movie. So a lot of those characters are just built for this movie. A lot of little one-liners and quick quips and stuff like that. Quick whips, whatever you want to call them, was very funny. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And let's talk about The Rock for a second. They had this man literally like the Hulk in this movie. They might as well had him pick up a car, rip it apart, and hit somebody with one of the cars. That's how beastly they had this dude. Okay? And that is where the third act of this movie went. Just crazy, over the top, just out of this world. Okay? Let me go ahead and put it in perspective for you real quick. When Thanos comes to the MCU, that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to destroy the world and kill everybody, and the Avengers, they're down and out, they're beaten, they don't know what to do. Who are they going to call? They're not going to call the Ghostbusters. Okay? They're going to call Vin Diesel, The Rock, and their crew to come in and save the day. And they will. They're going to ride in their little cars. They're going to run right over Thanos. Okay, they're going to leave skid marks on his face. They're going to take his Infinity Gauntlet, and they're not going to get a scratch on them. That's how beast this crew is. That's how indestructible they are. Literally, they could probably eat a bomb, blow up on the inside of them, and nothing would happen. Like I said before, didn't bother me a bit. I enjoyed every second of this movie for the most part. There was one thing that for me, just bothered me, and I felt like they tried a little too hard with the humor. Because the movie does a good job of kind of having some serious moments and, hey, what's going on with this story? A decent story that you're kind of involved in. But they mix it up with the humor, except this one they did a little bit too much humor with one of the characters that was not meant to be humorous. And it just felt forced. For those of you who've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, probably. There was a scene, very entertaining scene. It was kind of a fight scene. But one of the characters was just talking into the camera and just trying to be funny, and I just feel like that character wasn't meant for that. Wasn't a big deal. And then of course there was this really corny scene where they had this hack off, okay, where two hackers were going back and forth to each other and they were talking to themselves about one another, oh girl, You good, but you not that good. Watch this. Oh, you clever girl, you just, I'm about to stop you. Let me type, hit this button. Now what you gonna do? You know, it was that kind of back and forth. I don't know why it bothered me with this movie. It just did. But other than that, I had a grand time watching this movie. It was great. I had a lot of fun. And this is a definitely go to the movie type of movie to go watch, all right? Go to the theater and watch it. It is a complete spectacle. And a lot of other people had that same thought because it smashed at the international box office, by the way. $532 million international box office for opening weekend, I believe, which now sets the record. And I think the previous record was Star Wars The Force Awakens at 529. So some pretty solid numbers right there. I don't know what it is about this franchise that it kills. It's amazing. People crush with this. So I don't know. Join the crew. Go watch it. That's my review for this movie. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment below if you watched it, if you plan on watching, what you think about it. And until next time, guys, we out.